The Whitmore mansion glittered under the Hamptons' spring sky, windows pouring golden light across manicured lawns. Aaliyah Robinson adjusted her bow tie, fingers trembling as she arranged champagne flutes. The ballroom was larger than her queen's apartment, chandeliers, marble, flowers worth more than her rent. She didn't belong here. But the pay was triple rate. And her mother needed $8,000 by Friday, or the oncologist would cancel treatment. So Aaliyah did what she always did. Became invisible, survived. Aaliyah's hands trembled as the sticky shrimp cocktail slid down her face, the sour stench mixing with her tears, staining her crisp black uniform against the marble floor of the sprawling Hamptons mansion. The private party froze, guests in designer gowns clutching champagne flutes, diamonds glinting under chandeliers. But no one moved, eyes locked on her humiliation amid the clink of silverware silenced. She clutched the empty silver tray, her knuckles white, thinking of her sick mother's hospital bills hanging by this paycheck. "You filthy black maid," the drunk socialite hissed, her gold ring flashing as she wiped her hands on Aaliyah's apron. "You don't belong anywhere near my party's sparkle. You're just trash scrubbing floors." Then the air thickened. Slow, deliberate footsteps echoed from the shadowed hallway. Ji-hoon Park, the Korean Mafia boss ruling New York's underworld, stepped into the light, his cold gaze slicing the room. No one breathed. Aaliyah felt the shift before she understood it. The crowd parted like water. She didn't dare look up, but she felt him approaching the way prey feels a predator. Her heart hammered violently against her ribs. His shoes appeared first, Italian leather, gleaming black. Then his hand, long fingers, pale skin, platinum watch catching light. He offered it palm up, waiting. "Get up," he said. His voice carried no warmth but wasn't cruel. Just absolute. Now. Aaliyah's fingers found his before her brain caught up. Electricity shot through her arm when their skin connected. His grip was firm but careful, pulling her to her feet with effortless strength. She stood, dripping cocktail sauce onto Persian rugs, and finally looked at him. Mistake. Ji-hoon Park was beautiful the way knives were beautiful. Sharp planes, dangerous angles. Black hair swept back from a high forehead. Obsidian eyes that missed nothing. A mouth that looked like it had forgotten how to smile. Charcoal suit tailored perfectly, diamond cufflinks winking. He studied her with laser focus, and she felt stripped bare. "What's your name?" he asked. "Aaliyah." Her voice came out small. "Aaliyah Robinson." He repeated it, pronunciation perfect, testing the weight. His eyes never left hers, dark, unreadable, intense. Then his gaze shifted to Vanessa Whitmore, frozen 3 feet away, champagne trembling in her hand. The temperature dropped. "Touch her again," Ji-hoon said, voice soft as silk over steel. "And I'll show these people what your family really does with offshore accounts." Vanessa went bone white. Around them, guests stood statue still. This was scandal that would fuel Hampton's whispers for months. Ji-hoon turned back to Aaliyah. "You're done here. Collect your things. I'll arrange your payment." "I need this job," Aaliyah managed. "My mother, she's sick. You'll be compensated. Generously. Now go." Not a suggestion, a command. Aaliyah found herself moving on autopilot toward the service hallway, brain screaming questions. Who was this man? What did he want? In the staff room, she scrubbed sauce from her face with paper towels. The mirror showed mascara tracks and humiliation. 26 years old, and she felt ancient. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Ms. Robinson." Ji-hoon's voice poured through like expensive whiskey. "There's a car waiting outside the service entrance. The driver has an envelope. Take it." "Why are you—" "Because I choose to, and because you shouldn't have been on your knees for anyone." The line went dead. The black Mercedes looked like it cost more than her life. The driver, silent Korean man with military bearing, opened the door. The envelope sat on leather seats. Aaliyah counted the money 3 times, $15,000 in hundreds. She kept expecting someone to realize the mistake. "Mr. Park said to call if you need anything," the driver said, handing her a business card with a handwritten number. Anything at all. She made it home at midnight, paid the neighbor watching Maya, and stood in her bathroom crying. The money sat beside her daughter's inhaler, more than she'd seen in her life. $8,000 for treatment, $2,000 for rent, $5,000 for Maya's medical expenses, breathing room for the first time in years. Her phone buzzed at 12:47 a.m. She knew who it was. "Did you get home safely?" Ji-hoon asked. "Yes, thank you. I can't repay." "I don't want repayment. I want you to stop apologizing for existing. I'm not— You said sorry 4 times at the party, before the incident. Why?" "Because invisible people apologized for breathing. Because survival meant making herself smaller." "Habit," she said. "Break it. I'll be in touch, Ms. Robinson." He hung up. Aaliyah sat surrounded by cracked tile, holding $15,000 and wondering what she'd walked into. 3 days passed. She paid the oncologist Monday, watched Dr. Chen's eyes widen at the cash, paid rent Tuesday, got Maya's prescriptions Wednesday without choosing between medications for the first time in months. Her phone rang Wednesday at 7 p.m. Ji-hoon. "I'm sending a car tomorrow. 11 a.m., dress casually." "Why?" "You need employment. I need someone I trust in my home. We'll discuss terms." "I have a daughter. Bring her. I have a pool. She'll like it." The line went dead. Thursday morning, Aaliyah dressed Maya in her yellow sundress, wrestled her own hair into a bun. The Mercedes arrived at 10:55. Maya pressed her nose to the window as buildings grew taller. The Tribeca penthouse made the Whitmore mansion look quaint. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Minimalist furniture, original art, a Rothko, possibly a Basquiat. Ji-hoon stood by the windows in jeans and a black t-shirt that somehow didn't make him look casual. He turned, eyes tracking from her face to Maya. "Ms. Robinson, and you must be Maya." Maya hid behind Aaliyah's legs. "I have juice," he said to Maya. "Apple or orange?" "Apple," she whispered. He returned with a juice box and strawberries, offering them like negotiating a treaty. "There's a playroom down the hall. Second door. Tablets, games, whatever you like." Maya looked up for permission. Aaliyah nodded, watched her daughter leave, then faced Ji-hoon alone. "You have a playroom. Business associates bring children." He gestured to the couch. "Sit. We should talk." Aaliyah sat, hyper-aware of the space between them. Up close, she saw details missed before. A scar along his jaw, calloused knuckles, eyes that tracked her with predatory focus. "I need a house manager," Ji-hoon said. "Someone to oversee staff, manage maintenance, coordinate events. You'd work here. I'm a catering server. I don't have experience." "You're intelligent, detail-oriented, and you don't scare easily. That's more important than experience." "You don't know anything about me." "I know enough. You work 3 jobs to pay medical debt. You have a daughter who needs specialized medication. You endured public humiliation for a paycheck. That's dedication." He leaned forward. "I can teach you the rest." "What's the salary?" $80,000 annually. Full health insurance, dental, vision, $2,000 monthly housing allowance, your daughter's medical expenses covered. She almost laughed. More than she'd made in 3 years combined. "Why me?" "I don't trust thousands of people. I trust you. You don't know me. I know how you looked at that woman before she threw food. You were already bracing. You've been defending yourself your whole life." His eyes never wavered. "People who've survived what you've survived don't betray trust. They value it too much. Too accurate, too sharp. It stripped her defenses bare." "This is insane," she whispered. "Yes, but you'll say yes anyway. Because you're tired of drowning. Because your daughter deserves better." He stood, moved to the window. "Because someone's offering a lifeline that isn't tied to humiliation." He was right. Aaliyah joined him at the window. Manhattan sprawled below like a kingdom. What aren't you telling me? Men like you don't rescue servers out of charity. Something like a smile touched his mouth. Men like me? Dangerous men. Men who threaten federal investigations, who have drivers with military training and million-dollar art. Observant. I'm not a good man, Ms. Robinson, but I protect what's mine. If you work for me, you're mine to protect. Your daughter, your mother. That's the bargain. What do you get? Someone I can trust in my space. Someone who won't sell information or plant devices or try to kill me in my sleep. It happens more than you'd think. She should run, but her mother's treatment was in 3 weeks. Maya's medication ran out in 2 months. When would I start? Monday. My assistant will send paperwork, background check, NDA. You can bring Maya until school ends. After that, I'll arrange a nanny. I don't need... Not negotiable. You can't work and watch her simultaneously. One more thing, Ji-hoon said as she turned to collect Maya. Vanessa Whitmore has called me 57 times since Saturday. Ice slid down her spine. What does she want? To apologize, to explain. I haven't answered, but she knows I intervened for you. That makes you visible to her. Is that a problem? It could be. She's vindictive when embarrassed. I'm assigning you security, discreet. You won't notice unless you need to. That's not negotiable. You work for me now. You're under my protection whether you want it or not. The words should have felt threatening. Instead, they felt like the first safe breath in 20 years. While Aaliyah collected Maya from the playroom, Ji-hoon stood at the windows watching the city. His phone buzzed, his second in command, Min-jae. The Robinson woman accepted? Min-jae asked in Korean. Yes. This is dangerous, Ji-hoon, getting involved with civilians. Your father won't approve. Ji-hoon thought of Aaliyah on her knees, covered in shame, eyes blazing with suppressed fury. Thought of how she'd taken his hand without hesitation despite the fear. How she'd asked the right questions, noticed the right details. Intelligence and courage wrapped in exhaustion. I don't care what he approves, Ji-hoon said. Run deep background on Vanessa Whitmore, financial records, communications, associations, everything. You think she'll retaliate? I know she will. And when she does, I want to be ready. He hung up as Aaliyah emerged with Maya. The little girl clutched a stuffed panda he'd had delivered that morning. A calculated move, making the child comfortable. But watching Aaliyah's eyes soften as Maya hugged the toy did something unexpected to his chest. Dangerous. This woman was dangerous. Not because of who she was, but because of what she made him feel. He'd spent 15 years building walls, cultivating ice, becoming untouchable. Then she'd looked at him with those dark eyes and cracked something he'd thought permanently frozen. Thank you, Aaliyah said, gesturing to the panda. You didn't have to. I wanted to. True. Unsettling, but true. In the elevator down, Maya chattered about the playroom. Aaliyah was quiet, stealing glances at him like she was solving a puzzle. Smart woman. She should be wary. See you Monday, Ms. Robinson, he said as they reached the lobby. Aaliyah, she said quietly. If I'm working for you, call me Aaliyah. Aaliyah. Her name felt dangerous on his tongue. Monday. He watched the Mercedes pull away, carrying her back to Queens, back to her small life that he'd just irrevocably altered. Min-jae was right. This was dangerous. Getting involved, offering protection, bringing her into his world. But he'd made his choice the moment he'd extended his hand in that ballroom. The moment he'd decided she was his to protect. Now he just had to make sure she survived the consequences. Monday morning arrived with spring rain drumming against Aaliyah's window. She dressed in the new clothes Ji-hoon's assistant had sent. Tailored black slacks, crisp white blouse, professional but not servile. The package had arrived Saturday with a note in precise handwriting. You represent my home now. Dress accordingly, JP. Maya clung to her hand in the elevator up to the penthouse, clutching her panda. The doors opened to reveal Ji-hoon in a charcoal suit, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. He glanced up, eyes tracking over Aliyah in a way that made her pulse kick. He said something sharp into the phone and hung up. Good, you're here. He gestured to a woman in her 50s with kind eyes. This is Mrs. Song. She'll show you the systems, introduce you to the staff. The first week blurred. Aliyah learned the penthouse ran like a military operation, cleaning crews on Tuesdays and Fridays, maintenance checks monthly, a calendar of events that would make a CEO weep. Mrs. Song was patient, thorough, and seemed genuinely pleased to have help. But it was Ji-hoon who made her pulse race. He was everywhere and nowhere, disappearing for hours, then suddenly in the kitchen at midnight making tea. She'd find him in his office at 2 a.m., shirt sleeves rolled up, reviewing contracts in Korean and English. He moved through the space like a predator, all controlled grace and barely leashed power. The first time she brought him coffee unsolicited, he looked up from his laptop with surprise that flickered across his face so quickly she almost missed it. You don't have to serve me, he said. I know, but you've been working for 6 hours straight. You need caffeine or sleep. Observant. His eyes held hers a beat too long. Thank you, Aliyah. Her name and his voice did dangerous things to her heartbeat. By the second week, a routine emerged. Ji-hoon left early, 6 a.m., dressed in suits that probably cost more than her car. Returned around 6 p.m. unless he had business, which she learned meant the kind of business that had armed men waiting in the lobby. He always checked in with her first, asked about her day, if Maya needed anything. She's asking about Korean words, Aliyah said one evening, watching him shrug out of his jacket. The stuffed panda. She wants to know what it's called. Gom, Ji-hoon said, pronunciation soft. Gom, bear. Gom, Aliyah repeated, mangling it. His mouth curved, not quite a smile, but close. Better, try again. He stepped closer, demonstrating the pronunciation. Close enough she could smell his cologne, cedar, and something darker, expensive. Close enough to feel heat radiating from him. Her breath caught. Gom, she tried again. Perfect. His voice had dropped lower, intimate. His eyes were on her mouth. Then his phone buzzed. The moment shattered. He stepped back, jaw tightening as he checked the screen. I need to take this, he said, already moving toward his office. Aliyah stood in the kitchen, pulse hammering, thinking. This is dangerous. He's dangerous. Stop noticing how he looks at you. She couldn't. Ji-hoon stood in his office, phone pressed to his ear, trying to focus on Min-jae's report about the shipment delays. But his mind was still in the kitchen, replaying how Aliyah had looked, trying to speak Korean. The concentration on her face, the way she'd bitten her lower lip. How she'd smelled like vanilla and something uniquely her. This was a problem. He'd brought her here for practical reasons. He needed someone trustworthy. She needed security, clean transaction, professional. But nothing about what he felt watching her move through his space was professional. She'd been here 2 weeks, and already the penthouse felt different. Warmer. Maya's laugh echoing from the playroom. Aliyah humming while she worked. The scent of her shampoo lingering in hallways. He'd spent 15 years making this place a fortress. Sterile, safe, empty. Now it felt like a home. Ji-hoon, are you listening? Min-jae demanded in Korean. Yes, the shipment. I heard you. No, you didn't. What's wrong with you lately? Everything, nothing. A woman with dark eyes and unconscious grace who made him want things he'd stopped wanting years ago. Nothing. Handle the shipment. I'll deal with the Russians tomorrow. He hung up and returned to the kitchen. Aliyah was gone, probably putting Maya to bed in the spare room he'd converted to a bedroom for the child. He'd hired contractors, Had it done in 3 days. Pink walls, new furniture, stuffed animals. Excessive. He didn't care. The door opened. Aaliyah emerged, catching him standing there. "She's out," Aaliyah said softly. "Exhausted from swimming." He'd had the pool heated, hired a swim instructor, watched from his office window as Maya splashed and laughed, watched Aaliyah in a one-piece swimsuit that was modest and somehow devastating, watched her smile, really smile, for the first time. "Good," he managed. "Ji-hoon." She hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "Why are you doing this? The room, the instructor, the everything. This is more than employee benefits." "Because you deserve it. Because your daughter deserves it. Because watching you relax makes something in my chest unclench. Because I can," he said instead. She studied him with those two perceptive eyes. "There's more to it." "Yes." He moved closer, watched her pulse jump in her throat. "But I'm not ready to explain it yet. That's not fair." "No, it's not." Another step. "Are you going to quit over it?" "No." Barely a whisper. "Then we understand each other." He forced himself to walk away before he did something stupid. Like touch her. Like find out if her skin was as soft as it looked. 3 weeks in, Ji-hoon had a formal event, a gallery opening doubling as a meeting with Japanese associates. He emerged from his bedroom in a tuxedo that fit him like sin. Aaliyah looked up from her laptop and forgot how to breathe. "Too much?" he asked, adjusting his cufflinks. "No, it's... you look good." "Good." His eyebrow arched. "Fine. You look devastating. Happy?" That almost smile appeared. "Very." "Who are you meeting?" "People who smile while planning murders." He said it so casually, she almost laughed. "I'll be late. Don't wait up." But she did. Sat in the living room with her laptop, working on the calendar, unable to sleep until she knew he was home safe. Ridiculous. He was a grown man, a dangerous one. He didn't need her worry. The door opened at 1 a.m. Ji-hoon entered, bow tie undone, looking exhausted. "You waited," he said, surprise in his voice. "I was working." "Liar." He crossed to her, sank onto the couch beside her. Close, too close. "You were worried." "Maybe." "Why?" "Because the thought of you hurt makes my chest tight. Because I've started listening for your key in the lock. Because you've become important, and I don't know when that happened." "Because you pay my salary," she said lightly. His eyes darkened. "Also a lie, but I'll allow it. For now." He stood, shrugged out of his jacket. The movement pulled his shirt tight across his shoulders. Aaliyah forced her eyes back to her laptop. "Aaliyah." She looked up. He was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for waiting." He disappeared into his room before she could respond. The 4th week brought the first real threat. Aaliyah was grocery shopping with Maya when she noticed the black SUV, same one she'd seen outside the penthouse that morning, following at a careful distance. Her heart kicked into overdrive. She grabbed Maya's hand, ducked into a bodega, pulled out her phone. The driver Ji-hoon had assigned answered on the first ring. "There's a car following us, black SUV, tinted windows." "We see it. Stay inside. We're 2 minutes out." "We?" "Mr. Park's orders. You have a security detail." Of course she did. The Mercedes arrived in 90 seconds. The SUV disappeared, but Aaliyah's hands shook all the way home. Ji-hoon was waiting in the lobby, face carved from ice and fury. He pulled her into the elevator, Maya between them, and didn't speak until they were inside the penthouse. "Take Maya to her room," he said, voice deadly calm. When Aaliyah returned, he was on the phone speaking Korean too rapidly for her to catch anything. He hung up, turned to face her. "Are you hurt?" "No." Scared, but not hurt. He closed the distance between them in 2 strides, hands coming up to cup her face. The touch sent electricity through her system. "This is my fault," he said, jaw tight. "I brought you into my world, made you visible." "Who was it?" "Vanessa, having you followed, looking for leverage." His thumb stroked her cheekbone. "Unconscious." "It's handled." "How?" "You don't want to know." Probably true. But standing here with his hands on her face, his eyes burning into hers, she couldn't make herself care about the danger. "Ji-hoon," she whispered. He seemed to realize he was touching her. His hands dropped. He stepped back. "I'm increasing your security, and I need you to understand something." His eyes pinned her. "I protect what's mine, violently if necessary. If that scares you, tell me now." It should scare her. This man was admitting he'd do violence for her, but all she felt was safe. "It doesn't scare me," she said. "It should." He turned away, ran a hand through his hair. "You should be terrified of me." "But I'm not." "Why not?" He whirled back. "I'm a criminal. Aaliyah. I've killed people, destroyed lives, built an empire on blood and fear. Why the hell aren't you running?" "Because you pulled me off my knees, because you protected my daughter, because you're more honest about what you are than most good men I've known." She moved closer. "Because when you look at me, I feel seen for the first time in my life." The words hung between them like a confession. Ji-hoon stared at her, something raw and hungry in his eyes. "You can't say things like that to me," he said, voice rough. "Why not?" "Because I'm barely controlling myself as it is." He stepped closer. "Because I want things I have no right to want. Because you work for me and this is inappropriate and dangerous and—" "And what?" She tilted her chin up. "And you feel it too?" "Yes," ground out like a confession. "God help me, yes." The air between them crackled. His eyes dropped to her mouth. She swayed forward unconsciously. His phone rang. They both jumped. The spell broke. Ji-hoon grabbed his phone like it had personally offended him. "What?" he snapped. Listened. His expression shifted to cold fury. "I'm on my way." He hung up, looked at Aaliyah with frustration and something like regret. "I have to go. Emergency. Stay here. Security is outside." "What kind of emergency?" "The kind where people die if I don't intervene." He grabbed his jacket. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone." He left in a rush of expensive cologne and barely leashed violence. Aaliyah stood in the living room, pulse racing, lips tingling from a kiss that hadn't happened. This was insane. She was falling for her boss, a mob boss, a man who just admitted to killing people. And the terrifying part? She didn't care. If you've made it this far, you already know this story is different. What you just saw is only the beginning. What comes next will change everything. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss stories like this. Hit like if you're rooting for Aaliyah and want to see her win. And tell me in the comments, do you think she can escape this? I want to know your thoughts. From marble towers to humble streets, every click helps these stories reach those who need to hear them. Now let's find out what happens when everything falls apart. Part 3, 50-75%. 6 weeks had passed since Aaliyah started working for Ji-hoon, and the penthouse had become both sanctuary and minefield. She knew his routines now, the way he took his coffee black at 6 a.m., worked out at 7, emerged from the gym shirtless and gleaming with sweat, in ways that made her forget her own name. She knew he spoke Korean when angry, English when negotiating, and went silent when truly dangerous. And she knew, with terrifying certainty, that she was falling in love with him. Ji-hoon stood in his office watching Aaliyah through the security feed, hating himself for the surveillance and unable to stop. She was in the kitchen teaching Maya Korean numbers, both of them laughing when the 5-year-old mispronounced them. The sound made his chest ache. He'd been involved with women before, transactions mostly, physical release with people who understood the terms. But this wanting that consumed him, this need to hear her voice, see her smile, know she was safe, this was new, terrifying, dangerous. His second-in-command had warned him. His father in Seoul had called, furious about rumors Ji-hoon was distracted by some American woman. the organization whispered. People noticed his changed patterns, the softness creeping into his edges. He didn't care. Well, that was a lie. He cared deeply, but not enough to stop. "Mr. Park?" Aaliyah's voice came through the intercom. "Your 3 p.m. is here." He switched off the feed, straightened his tie, became ice again. Business first. Want later. Always later. That evening, Aaliyah put Maya to bed and found Ji-hoon on the terrace, whiskey in hand, staring at the city lights. She should leave him alone, should respect his space, should absolutely not join him. She joined him. "Bad day?" she asked. "Always." He didn't look at her. "Someone tried to kill me at lunch." Said so casually she almost laughed, almost. Did they succeed? Clearly not. He took a drink. Amateur. Poison in the wine. Obvious. "You sound bored." "I am." He finally turned to her. "Bored of the threats, the games, the constant calculation. Do you know what it's like, never trusting anyone, never relaxing?" "Yes." She moved to stand beside him at the railing. "Different reasons, but yes. I was invisible for so long, I forgot what it felt like to exist. And now I exist so loudly, it terrifies me." His hand found hers on the railing. The touch sent sparks up her arm. Neither of them pulled away. "You terrify me too," he said quietly. "Why?" "Because you make me want ordinary things. Mornings, conversations, laughter." His thumb stroked her knuckles. "Things men like me don't get to have." "Why not?" "Because I'm covered in blood, Aaliyah. Literally and figuratively. I've done things that would make you run screaming." "Try me." He turned to face her fully, expression raw. "I killed a man 2 weeks ago. Shot him myself because he threatened my territory. Last month I ordered the execution of someone who betrayed me. Yesterday I broke a man's hand for disrespecting my associate." His eyes burned into hers. "I'm a monster wearing an expensive suit. Why aren't you running?" "Because monsters don't learn Korean numbers to make 5-year-olds smile. Because you paid for my mother's cancer treatment before I even asked. Because you look at me like I'm precious." She stepped closer. "Because underneath the ice, you're just a man who's been alone too long." His jaw clenched. "You see what you want to see. I see you, Ji-hoon, the real you, and I'm not running." He stared at her for a long moment, something breaking in his expression. Then his phone buzzed. He checked it, cursed in Korean. "I have to go. Emergency shipment." "At 10 p.m.? My business doesn't keep office hours." He stepped back, severing the connection. "Stay inside. Security is doubled tonight." He left. Aaliyah stood on the terrace, hand still warm from his touch, and wondered how much longer they could keep pretending this was just professional. 3 days later, Aaliyah's mother came for dinner. Her first visit since the treatments had put the cancer in remission. Dr. Chen had called it a miracle. Aaliyah called it Ji-hoon's money and refused to examine the emotions tangled up in that gratitude. Ji-hoon insisted on cooking. Aaliyah watched him move through the kitchen with the same precision he applied to everything, preparing bulgogi and banchan while discussing art with her mother like he hosted dinner parties regularly instead of contract negotiations. "You're good for my daughter," her mother said later, cornering Ji-hoon while Aaliyah played with Maya in the living room. "She smiles now. Really smiles." "She's good for me too," Ji-hoon admitted. "You love her." Not a question. Ji-hoon looked at Aaliyah across the room, head thrown back laughing at something Maya said, eyes bright, completely unguarded. His chest tightened. "Yes," he said quietly. "But love isn't enough in my world." "Then change your world." Her mother squeezed his arm. "Men with your resources can change anything. Question is whether you're brave enough." She left him with that grenade of truth. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Aaliyah found Ji-hoon in his office, tie discarded, shirt unbuttoned at the collar. He looked exhausted and beautiful and dangerous. My mother likes you, she said from the doorway. I like her too. He leaned back in his chair. She's direct. I appreciate that. She thinks you love me. The words hung in the air like a live wire. Ji-hoon's expression shuddered. And if I do? He asked carefully. Then we have a problem. Aaliyah stepped into the office. Because I love you too, and I don't know what to do with that. He was out of the chair and across the room before she could blink, hands framing her face, eyes searching hers. Say that again, he demanded. I love you. I'm terrified, and it's probably stupid and definitely dangerous, but He kissed her. Finally, devastatingly, kissed her. His mouth was firm and sure and hungry, tasting like whiskey and want. Aaliyah gasped against his lips, and he took advantage, deepening the kiss until she couldn't remember her own name. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. His fingers tangled in her hair, angling her head for better access. It was everything. Too much, not enough. He pulled back abruptly, breathing hard, forehead pressed to hers. We can't, he said, voice wrecked. Why not? Because once I have you, I won't let go, and my world will destroy you. Let me decide that. No. He stepped back, and the loss of contact felt like amputation. I won't be the reason you get hurt. I won't be the reason Maya loses her mother. I won't. Stop deciding my life for me, Aaliyah cut in, anger flaring. I'm not some fragile thing that needs protecting from reality. I survived my father leaving, my ex's abuse, medical debt, poverty. I'm still here, still standing. Give me some credit. This is different. My enemies will use you against me. They'll threaten you, hurt you, take everything I care about and burn it to ashes because that's what they do. Then protect me. Isn't that what you promised? That I'm yours to protect? Yes, but then do it. Stop pushing me away because you're scared. His eyes flashed. I'm not scared. Liar. She stepped into his space again. You're terrified. Because for the first time in your life, you care about something more than control. And that scares you more than any threat. He stared at her, chest heaving, walls cracking. You're right. I am terrified. Because I've never felt like this. Because you've gotten under my skin and into my head, and I can't think straight anymore. Because I dream about you and wake up wanting things I have no right to want. What things? Everything. Mornings, nights, your laugh, your touch, growing old watching Maya grow up. Things men like me don't get. Take them anyway. She put her hand on his chest, felt his heart racing. Take me. I'm offering. His hand covered hers, pressing it against his thundering heart. If I do this, if we do this, there's no going back. You'll be mine, completely, and I don't share. I don't want you to. My father will lose his mind. My organization will question my judgment. My enemies will target you relentlessly. I know. And you're still saying yes? I'm still saying yes. He kissed her again, slower this time, thorough and claiming. His hands mapped her body like memorizing sacred text. She melted into him, every nerve ending alive and singing. Then glass shattered in the living room. They broke apart. Ji-hoon had a gun in his hand before Aaliyah could blink, pulled from somewhere she hadn't seen. His expression had gone arctic. Stay behind me, he ordered. They moved through the penthouse in silence. The living room window had a bullet hole, glass scattered across the floor. A brick lay in the center with a note wrapped around it. Ji-hoon read it, expression going dangerously blank. He handed it to Aaliyah. Pretty Maid, shame if something happened to her daughter, or her mother, or her. V. Aaliyah's blood turned to ice. Maya is safe. Security is with her. Ji-hoon was already on the phone, speaking rapid Korean. He listened, said something sharp, hung up. Vanessa hired mercenaries. They took photos of you, Maya, your mother. They've been planning this for weeks. What does she want? Me, on my knees, apologizing, my business connections, my money. His eyes were black ice. She won't get any of it. But she's declared war, and I intend to finish it. How? By destroying everything she loves. He turned to Aliyah. I'm sending you and Maya somewhere safe. Private location, armed security, completely off-grid. No. This isn't negotiable. I said no. Aliyah stood her ground. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. You said I'm yours. Then treat me like a partner, not a possession you stash away. You're not trained for. Then train me. Teach me to defend myself. Give me the tools, but don't you dare lock me away like I'm helpless. Ji-hoon stared at her, frustration and admiration warring on his face. You're impossible. You love me anyway. Yes, God help me, yes. He pulled her against him, held her tight. Fine, but we do this my way. Security detail around the clock, self-defense training, weapons training. You learn the protocols, follow the rules, and if I say run, you run. Agreed? Agreed. And Aliyah? He tilted her chin up. After this is over, after Vanessa is no longer a threat, we're finishing what we started. No more interruptions, no more walls. Understood? Her pulse kicked. Understood. His phone rang again. He answered in Korean, listened, smiled, a cold, dangerous smile that should have terrified her and somehow didn't. Good, he said in English, then let's begin. He hung up, looked at Aliyah with predatory focus. Vanessa just made her first mistake. She threatened what's mine. Now I'm going to show her exactly what that costs. What are you going to do? What I do best. His eyes glittered. Destroy my enemies, completely, utterly, until there's nothing left but ash and regret. He said it like a promise, like a vow. Aliyah should be horrified, should be questioning every choice that led her here. Instead, she felt safe, protected, claimed, because this dangerous man with ice in his veins and blood on his hands looked at her like she was precious. Worth protecting, worth fighting for. And she looked at him the same way. The next 48 hours moved like clockwork precision. Ji-hoon mobilized his entire organization. Investigators, lawyers, hackers, people who specialized in finding secrets buried deep. Aliyah watched him transform into something colder, sharper, utterly ruthless. The man who'd learned Korean numbers for Maya disappeared behind the mob boss who'd built an empire on fear. It was terrifying. It was mesmerizing. She trained during the day, self-defense with Ji-hoon's security team, weapons training at a private range. Her body ached, her mind raced, but she refused to be helpless. Again, Ji-hoon said, watching her spar with his head of security. Faster. She moved, executed the disarm, landed the strike. Better. His eyes tracked her with predatory approval. You're a quick learner. I'm motivated. That night, Ji-hoon's investigators delivered their findings. He spread the files across his desk, bank records, communications, photographs, video, evidence of Vanessa's crimes spanning years, embezzlement from her family's foundation, blackmail, an affair with a Russian arms dealer she'd been selling corporate secrets to, plans to marry Ji-hoon, then have him assassinated for his assets. She documented everything, Ji-hoon said, almost amused, arrogant enough to think she was untouchable. What are you going to do? End her. He looked up, expression carved from ice. I'm turning this over to the FBI, the SEC, and several media outlets simultaneously. By tomorrow morning, her entire world collapses. That's it? No violence? Violence is messy. Public destruction is permanent. His smile was cold. I want her to watch everything she values burn. Then I want her in federal prison thinking about it for the next 15 years. Ruthless, efficient, perfect. But that night, rival syndicate members, hired by Vanessa as insurance, made their move. They bypassed building security, neutralized Ji-hoon's guards, and went for the softest target. Maya. Aaliyah woke to the sound of her daughter screaming. She was moving before conscious thought, grabbing the gun Ji-hoon had given her, the one she'd learned to shoot 3 days ago. Down the hall. Maya's door open. 2 men in black, one grabbing her daughter. Training took over. Aaliyah fired, hit one in the shoulder. He dropped. The second man whirled, gun rising. She tackled him before he could aim, years of desperation and 3 days of training combining into fury. They crashed into furniture. He was bigger, stronger, but she was a mother protecting her child. She fought like a lioness. Pepper spray from her pocket into his eyes, her knee into his groin, her elbow into his throat. He went down, choking. "Mama," Maya sobbed from the corner. "Freezer, baby, like we practiced. Now!" Maya ran. The first man was recovering, reaching for his gun. Aaliyah kicked it away, fired again, hit his leg. He screamed. Then Ji-hoon was there with 4 of his men, gun drawn, death in his eyes. He took in the scene. 2 men down, Aaliyah standing over them, bleeding from a cut on her shoulder, gun steady in her hands. "Clear the floor," he ordered his men. "Lock down the building. Find out how they got in." His team moved. Ji-hoon crossed to Aaliyah, took the gun gently from her shaking hands. "You're hurt," he said, touching the blood on her shoulder. "I'm fine. Maya is safe. You hid her. You protected her." His hands framed her face. "You magnificent, terrifying woman. You could have run, should have run. I told you, I don't run." Something broke in his expression. He pulled her against him, held her so tight she could barely breathe. She felt him shaking. "When I saw them in her room, when I thought," his voice cracked, "I can't lose you. Either of you. Do you understand? I can't. You won't." She pulled back to look at him. "We're here. We're safe because you taught me how to fight." "You took a bullet for her." Aaliyah looked down. Blood seeped through her sleeve, more than she'd thought. Adrenaline had masked the pain. "Grazed me. I'm fine. You're going to the hospital. After we get Maya." They found her in the kitchen freezer, exactly where Aaliyah had told her to hide during their emergency drills. The 5-year-old launched herself into her mother's arms, sobbing. "You were so brave, baby," Aaliyah whispered, holding her tight despite the pain in her shoulder. "So brave." Ji-hoon stood watching them, expression raw. When Maya finally calmed, he crouched to her level. "Maya, your mom is a hero. Do you know that?" Maya nodded, hiccuping. "She saved me. She did. And I'm going to make sure no one ever scares you again. I promise." He looked at Aaliyah. "Both of you, that's my promise." At the hospital, while doctors stitched Aaliyah's shoulder, Ji-hoon made calls. By morning, Vanessa Whitmore was in FBI custody. The mercenaries she'd hired were giving statements, implicating her in kidnapping, attempted murder, racketeering. The media was already circulating stories about the Whitmore family's fall from grace. Ji-hoon sat beside Aaliyah's hospital bed, holding her uninjured hand. "It's over," he said quietly. "She's done. Her family's done. Everything she built is ashes." "Good." He lifted her hand, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. "You terrified me tonight." "Good," she repeated. "You should know what it feels like." His laugh was rough. "Fair, but Aaliyah, I need to say something." "Okay." He stood, paced to the window, then back. When he spoke, his voice was raw with emotion she'd never heard from him. "I've spent my entire adult life building walls, staying isolated, never letting anyone close because closeness meant vulnerability, and vulnerability meant death. Then you walked into that ballroom covered in shame and fury, and something in me recognized something in you. I told myself it was just attraction, just curiosity, just anything but what it actually was. What was it? Recognition. You were alone in a crowd, invisible by necessity, surviving through sheer will. I understood that. I've been alone in crowds my entire life." He moved to her bedside, took her hand again. But you made me want to be visible, to be seen, to be known. And that's terrifying because everyone I've ever cared about has been used against me or taken from me. I'm still here. Yes, you fought off armed men to protect your daughter. You faced down my world without flinching. You're still here. He sank to one knee beside the bed. So I'm asking, begging for you to stay permanently as my partner, my equal, mine. Aaliyah's heart stuttered. Are you asking you to marry me? Yes, too soon probably. Insane, definitely. But I'm done waiting, done pretending, done being alone. His eyes burned into hers. Marry me, Aaliyah. Let me spend the rest of my life protecting you, partnering with you, loving you. She should say it was too fast, too crazy, too dangerous. Instead, yes. His expression transformed, shock, joy, relief cascading across his features. He stood, leaned over the bed, and kissed her. Soft at first, reverent, like she was something precious and breakable, then deeper, hungry, claiming. His hand cradled her face, thumb stroking her cheekbone. She tasted desperation and promise on his lips, felt years of loneliness breaking apart between them. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. I love you, he said against her mouth. Completely, irrevocably. You and Maya, my family. I love you too, she smiled. My dangerous, impossible man. Yours, he confirmed, always yours. And there it is, justice served. Love earned. If this story touched your heart, if you smiled when Aaliyah finally had her moment, I need your support. Subscribe to the channel, like this video. Share it with someone who needs this message. That dignity has no price, that true love exists, that everyone deserves to be seen. Leave a comment with your favorite moment. Was it when Aaliyah fought off the attackers? When Ji-hoon got on one knee? Or that kiss you waited an entire hour to see? I read every comment. These stories exist because of you. Your click, your comment, your share, each one matters. Each one brings more stories of invisible people who refuse to disappear. Now, let me show you what happened 6 months later. 6 months later, Aaliyah stood in front of floor-length mirrors while her mother adjusted her wedding dress. White silk, Korean-inspired design with intricate embroidery, a fusion of cultures like everything in her life now. Through the window of Ji-hoon's Tribeca penthouse, Manhattan glittered in late autumn sunshine. You look beautiful, baby, her mother said, tears in her eyes. The cancer was in full remission. She looked healthy, vibrant, alive. Are you ready? Was she ready to marry a mob boss in a private ceremony blending Korean and African American traditions? To become stepmother to an organization and actual mother to Maya and the twins growing in her belly? Yes, Aaliyah said, touching her small bump. I'm ready. The ceremony was intimate. 50 guests in Ji-hoon's penthouse, transformed with flowers and silk. Maya served as flower girl in a hanbok, scattering petals and giggling. Ji-hoon waited at the makeshift altar in traditional Korean dress, and the look on his face when he saw Aaliyah made her heart stop. They exchanged vows in English and Korean, rings blessed by both a minister and a Buddhist monk. When Ji-hoon kissed her, his wife, the room erupted in applause. Mrs. Park, he murmured against her lips. Mr. Park, she replied, smiling. The reception blurred. Dancing, toasts, Maya showing off her taekwondo moves Ji-hoon had been teaching her. Aaliyah's mother laughing with Ji-hoon's business associates. Two worlds colliding, merging, becoming one. Later, Ji-hoon pulled her aside to the terrace where they'd first almost kissed. Happy? He asked. Deliriously. She leaned into him. You? I didn't think I was capable of this much happiness. His hand rested on her stomach. My wife, my daughter, my son's on the way, a family. You're going soft, mob boss. Only for you. He kissed her temple. The world still sees ice. But you? You get all of me. 2 years later, Aaliyah sat in a boardroom overlooking Central Park, fluent in Korean, co-running the legitimate side of Ji-hoon's businesses. The board members, all men who'd initially questioned her presence, now deferred to her judgment. She'd proven herself brilliant with acquisitions, merciless in negotiations, her husband's perfect partner in every sense. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Vanessa Whitmore denied parole. Will serve full 15-year sentence. Aaliyah smiled and deleted it. That part of her life was over. That evening, she came home to chaos. Maya teaching the twins Korean curse words while Ji-hoon tried not to laugh. Their penthouse was loud, messy, full of toys and laughter and life. "Mama," Maya ran over. "I got an A on my Korean exam." "That's my girl." Aaliyah hugged her, then scooped up one of the twins. "And what did you troublemakers do today?" "Taught them to say appa," Ji-hoon said, taking the other twin, "and possibly some words I'll deny teaching." They sat together on the couch, blended family, mixed cultures, former mob boss and former invisible maid who'd both found home in each other. Maya curled between them. The twins babbled in Korean and English. "Remember when you pulled me off that floor?" Aaliyah asked quietly. "Every day. You saved me." "No." Ji-hoon looked at her with those dark eyes full of love. "You saved me. I was just existing. You taught me to live." She kissed him, soft and sweet, while their children played around them. Outside, the city glittered with possibility. Inside, the woman who'd once scrubbed floors commanded respect in boardrooms, loved fiercely by a dangerous man who kneeled only for her. Aaliyah Robinson had been invisible, expendable, forgotten. Aaliyah Park was seen, valued, cherished. Not because someone rescued her, but because she'd rescued herself, stood up, fought back, refused to disappear, and built a kingdom on her own terms.